Hello, this is Denise with Heartside Tarot, and it has been such a crazy week. So today I wanted to do something fun on the channel, and that is show off this gorgeous deck. This is a Siren's Melody Tarot by Lauren Sleeper. I purchased this deck on Etsy, and that's the first time I had seen it. The Etsy shop is 5 Sirens on Etsy, and I will link that below. It is still available in both limited edition and this, which is the blue edition, I believe it's called. And I'll go over a little bit about the different editions, but I think it was originally a successful Kickstarter campaign in mid-2020. I missed that one as I was hiding in a little bit of a hole, trying to avoid seeing all the gorgeous decks because I was trying not to buy too many. But I saw this and I purchased it at the end of 2020, and it is the first deck that I received in 2021, which is just makes it a very special deck to me. My first new deck of the year, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So from what I gather on Etsy, there is a limited edition version which has a gold foil back. So she threw this one in signed, so I have one to show you, and it has this gorgeous foil back on it with the gold foil. And so that, and a little bit deeper, the colors are just really not showing up on camera, but they're just very rich and gorgeous. This is a teal, and this is kind of a lighter blue. So they have the limited edition, and that was still available the last time I checked. And the blue edition, limited edition, is quite a bit more expensive, which is why I went with this one, but they're both gorgeous. And there are 2 versions of each type of deck. I think they're still available. This is the Artist Notes edition. You can see has the notes at the bottom, and then this one that came with it is the Sage version, and the Sage does not have the notes on the meanings at the bottom. There is also a mini deck available, and that, as far as I can tell, all those things are still available the last time I checked, but I know there was limited quantities of the decks, and so that's just the time that I looked, that's what was there. But I decided to go with the Artist Notes version because I actually like having words on a lot of my decks, and I have been really enjoying it. So this deck is a very nice sturdy cardstock. You can see the back. Like I said, it's a really gorgeous blue color. I don't think the richness of the colors is really showing up. There's a very light white design of like a shell on there, if you can see, and like a peachy greenish purple gorgeous colored center, a very pastel colors, and that kind of shell design is echoed all around here and around the edges. And now that has like the velvet touch finish, so it has kind of that rose petal velvety feel to it, which is very interesting. It's very interesting, I don't know, feel. I really like it, but as far as the cards, they don't slip, but you can spread them out, so the velvet touch hasn't made them stick together too much when I've been shuffling, so I've been able to work with it. Although I do like the way it feels, I don't always like decks that have that because sometimes it's harder on the shuffling, but I'll get to that shuffling a little bit later. So this deck on the Etsy shop, it said it was inspired by nature, femininity, and whimsy, all of which are things that I like. It intended to celebrate inclusivity and acceptance during a changing world. The art is a combination of drawing, painting, collage, and digital work. And it has what seems to me like a lot of light incorporated in the artwork, which I really like. And the art, when I'm looking at it in person, it's a lot richer. It's not showing up very well on camera. So I'm going to show the cards, but just know that for instance, this card, the purples and the magentas, and those are a lot richer. This is like a really beautiful orange color. So I would suggest checking out the pictures on her Etsy shop if you're interested, because these are kind of washed out on the camera. So some interesting things about this deck that I really like. Let's take the majors first. So now these have the notes on them. It did not come with the guidebook or any other information, so I don't know if there is any out there. It has some really interesting features. I'd love to know more about the artist process as she was creating this deck. That's something that always fascinates me whenever I have the artist, their thought process in creating a deck. I'm always interested in that. But we see here it has the name on the top. We have the number, and then we have the element, which I don't know if you can read that. It says air, and P for planet, and then we have Uranus. So it lists the element and the planet for each of the major arcana. And then here we have a little symbol, upright and reversed meanings, just short. And these are the artist interpretations, so it can vary from what you might generally think of as the meanings of the cards, but for me they seemed pretty spot on to how I feel the meanings go. And you can kind of see the edges. Most of the majors are this dark color here, but we have a few that tend to be more like grayish, so it's not like a consistent single color throughout the suits, but they do tend to be similar. So interestingly, they have a little symbol right here that changes throughout the cards. It's repeated. So this is the symbol that's on the back of the cards in white right here. And so I kind of think of that as the Siren's Melody tarot symbol, and that's on several of the cards. It is not always in the same position, so sometimes it could be sideways. It might even be reversed on a couple of the cards. It's interesting. Because I don't know exactly what it means when these symbols come up, but they seem to kind of have a meaning. So here we have the Fool, we have the Magician, which is an interesting character, and then we have I don't even know what that symbol is. It kind of looks like a tooth to me. Empress. I love this High Priestess. There are a couple of cards in here that I think might be my all-time favorites so far, and that's pretty amazing for one deck because I have so many decks. But I love that the Hierophant looks to be kind of a Mary character, maybe. We have the Lovers as two women. It is a very feminine deck. We do have the snakes in here. There's a couple characters like this Chariot. Could maybe be a male character. There's a couple that are kind of ambiguous. I wouldn't say there's a lot of strong male energy in here. So here we have a heart in a little case. We see that symbol several times in the deck. Sometimes it's reversed, sometimes it's upright. Here we have it upright. I love the Strength card. When I first saw it, I thought these were wings almost. And then upon closer look, you can see that they are, they appear to be female lions right there. And you have the little lion head at the bottom. The Hermit. Some of these are very abstract, but I still really enjoy that. The Wheel has a lot of shells. Now here we go. This is the Justice card, and I think this might be one of my favorite Justice cards. I just really like, it has all the eyes, and yet her eyes are covered with what could be a crescent moon or like that kind of horns. I just love that. Here we have the Hangman. There is nudity in this deck. It actually says on the package that the artwork does contain nudity. It appears to be all female nudity, but it's not. It's all very tasteful. I love this card. This is the Hanged one. And so we do have Strength as 8 and Justice as 11. That's something I always look for in the deck. And then we have here Death, an apple. It looks to be, it's hard to see from the picture, but it almost looks like that seed is sprouting. And then we have a symbol of like rebirth and a moth. Here we have Temperance. This Temperance card is so interesting. You have the solitary figure here, sitting there, like a mer creature in the water. And then when you reverse it, you can see that there are what looks to be 2 different figures reflected in the water. So I'm going to have to really do some thinking about that. The Devil. Again, this is really washed out on camera. This is like a vibrant color right here behind it. The background color is very vibrant, like a red. So, and then here we have that same symbol that could almost be a tooth, upside down though. And here we have the Tower. It's a gorgeous tree card. This actually looks very similar, a little washed out, but this is very close on camera. And see, then you have the Siren's melody symbol there, but reversed, the shell symbol reversed. So, yeah. Eyes are another symbol that occur on a lot of the cards. And here we have the star. I love that one. This is one of my favorite moon cards. I love this moon. I love having, I think it's lunar moss there. And the sun, it looks kind of like a citrus fruit. I love that. Judgment with the 2 trumpeting angels, and then a x-ray of a skeleton, of a skull. Very interesting. And then the World as kind of like a, I don't know, almost like a snow globe without the snow. It's very, very interesting. And again, you have what you started with, which is the shell symbol upright. So very, very interesting interpretation of the cards. I really, really like those. And then here we have the minor suits. So let me see if I can. I just want to show the aces together. And you can also kind of see the different borders. So we have Pinnacles, Swords, Cups, and Wands. They might be a little bit hard to read. The swords have kind of very, very similar borders, kind of a grayish with some marks on it, almost like scratch marks. Very interesting background. Cups are very similar as well as this deep blue color. The wands are a very kind of like peachy pink color. Some are lighter, a little lighter than others, but very similar. The one that seems to be the most different is the Pinnacles. I have a couple of darker ones, a lot of this gray, and then I have like one that's a very white border and 2 that are a light gray. So like this one is very different. So I'm not sure if that has a specific meaning, but it is something interesting that I noted when I was doing comparisons. I like to compare the different suits and see how they're similar and how they're different. And so I really like the way that the suits are set up. So you have the aces here. The aces are a little bit different than the rest of the numbered cards in that they have the 1 here in a little square or rectangle at the bottom, Roman numeral 1, and then it has what looks to be a lock. I don't know if that's what it was intended to be, but to me that symbol looks like a lock, and for me I feel like that's very appropriate. I love having that on the ace because to me aces are something that needs to be unlocked. Like a seed you could plant, but you have to do the work to unlock it. It's not just going to reveal its mysteries to you without you putting in a little bit of work. And that's how I read aces usually, so I love having that there. And then the aces, all the cards do have their element, and in this deck the swords are air and wands are fire. In some decks that's reversed, but that's the way I like to read them. And then you have the upright and reversed meanings on each card, and that's similar across all the suits. So let me just put those to the side. So for the Pinnacles, when I first got this deck and I looked through it, I didn't always see how the image connected to the meaning of the card. But I'm so glad I got the artist notes version, because when I read the meaning that the artist has given to each card, I can start to see where the image comes from. And I do think if you get the Sage version, it comes with a very short list of the meanings. So I think you still get that even with that. It's just not written on the card. So here we have that set up for the ace. And then here on the Two of Pentacles, it's a little different. You have the symbols again like we had in the majors. Here we don't have a symbol, and we have the upright and reverse together, and you have the number again is on the top, and you don't have this gold symbol there. So we have the 2, and this made sense to me when I read the notes. Organizing and time management, resourcefulness are meanings listed for this card, so I can see where this image fits in. So I won't go over the meanings of all the cards, but I have been able to work really well with them. This is really dark in person, like really dark, and I like that because it's the 5. And then of course you have the interesting white gray borders here, and then see you have like a bent sword, which is interesting. I'm not sure what some, like here we have a hand, and then here you have the shell again to the side. So eventually I'm going to sort through and get those in groups and see if I notice any similarities. I have worked with this deck. I have done readings with this deck. Even though I've only had it, I've had it for a week now, which isn't a very long time, but I do really like it, and it's done some really good readings. I'm really happy with how this has been reading. Okay, so here we have, all right, so here we have the court cards, and this is similar across all the suits, but I just want to kind of point this out. So the way that they do the court cards in this deck is we have the numbers. So we have 11, 12, 13, and 14. They're not named page, knight, king, queen, or anything like that. And there's not necessarily any particular image that would tell you that it is royalty or anything like that. There's a couple that I think do, but other than that, it's very open to interpretation. This suit, I believe, has fewer actual human figures than other court cards in the deck, but it does have these. You notice it has these golden symbols here at the bottom over the numbers again. What looks to be like a crown, like a small crown. This to me looks kind of like a knight's armor, like helmet. So I would still read that as knight. This could be princess, I suppose. And then we have 2 crowns. Now the meanings are, for example, this one is working parent, nurturer, provider, sensible, practical, which could definitely be Queen of Pentacles. You have that nurturing vibe, so you could read it like that if you want. And here we have a figure, a cloaked figure, and we have upright meanings are material wealth, abundance, success, reliable, and protective. So I feel like those are very strong. It could be like King of Pentacles qualities. So I feel like you could still read them as like I don't know. So this one is skill development, financial opportunity, grounded and dependable. So you could read this as like a princess of Pinnacles, or maybe page, I suppose, because you do have the opportunity there. Pages for me are always like new paths. So this is it's a very interesting way of doing the court cards, and I do like it because it's very open to your own interpretation. So you kind of have to just decide how you like doing the court cards and kind of overlay your own system onto that, which I think would be fairly easy to do. And once I figured out that the court cards had the golden symbols on it, it made it a lot easier for me because I was not used to the Roman numerals for the court cards, like 11, 12, 13, 14. I just didn't click right away with me. So here we have the suit of swords. And so I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker because it's all the same features with the symbol and the meanings. I feel like there are more human-esque figures in this suit than the Pinnacles. We have a very distinct human figure. This is the Eight of Swords. We have a little skull in a case there. Some of these the images are very clear. Some of them can be kind of they're hard for me to distinguish what they are. Here we come to the court cards. So we have what could be like the princess. The reason I say princess and not prince is because I feel like there are more female characters in these cards, but you could probably call it whatever you want. And this looks to me to be Frida Kahlo with the roses. I really like that. Seeker of truth, independent, perceptive, and honest are the upright qualities there. And then I love the king, or whatever you might want to call this card of swords. I like seeing people of all ages and body types. It's become one of my biggest pet peeves in a deck of cards is just having like all the beautiful people. And that's not something that used to bother me. So I guess this is the Cups suit. As I get older, it's become more of a sore point. And so the Two of Cups, it has what appear to be two female figures, but it really is, for me, it is kind of hard to tell. It could be ambiguous. You could kind of make it what you want to make it, I think. This is interesting to me. We have like a lady reclined with some fishnet stockings, and I haven't exactly figured out how that represents Four of Cups to me, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. I really like this Five of Cups. And you have the heart in the container. This is the upside down one. I love this Six of Cups. And so here we have the Seven of Cups. And I just wanted to take a moment to compare this is the Seven of Cups card, the signed signature card that came with my deck. And you can see it's the limited edition. So you can, and it's also the Sage version. So you can just kind of compare the two. They're very, very similar cards. Just the one has the notes and the other has this design. And it also doesn't list the element. It just has the cups and the number. So other than that, they seem to be very similar, but I don't have the entire deck to compare it. But from that card, that's the information I can gather. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck, the Ten of Cups, and it has meanings listed as bliss, harmony, security, loving relationships, and you have like three older women walking on the beach, and I just think that's gorgeous because sometimes loving relationships are your chosen family, like your friends, people who are there for you. It doesn't have to necessarily be like your your family that you're born into. So I think that's a beautiful card. So we have an octopus as the princess. I'm just gonna say that I really don't know if there's no title that I can see or information that I found that names them. So you have to come up with your own name, I guess, for them. I like this one a lot. Have the Queen, or the 13, I'll just say 13 of Cups, and the 14. And this woman actually has, or could be, I guess it could be a man, but has a crown on. So it does actually kind of look like royalty. And it's interesting here, this one particularly, because we have somebody with the bright red hair, with like a stag with the horns in what looks like a forest, which I would associate more with like the red hair, I guess, with fiery wands, but even the forest with pinnacles. And I haven't had time to like really analyze every card, but I don't see a lot here to associate with cups, but I will keep looking. And for the last suit, we have the wands. This is an interesting one. So the meanings for this one are inspiration, enthusiasm, creativity, and potential. And it's almost looks like honey dripping off the hands to me. Very interesting. Another one is gorgeous. 3 of Wands. It has a candle on here. But they don't always jump out to me as, oh, that's obviously like the 4 of Wands. I do need the titles on them, and it does help for me to read the artist's meanings. So here we have the 5 of Wands, which is conflict and tension, and you have the brain upset, like reversed. So I feel like that ties in. I don't know. It's interesting. This is hard to tell. There, I guess it's almost easier to see it on camera, the figure, because it's such a dark card, really. For the 6, I really like this one for 7 of Wands. This figure. We have the 8 of Wands, which to me is very abstract. Sometimes I feel like I could be missing an image, but as I work with them, maybe I'll notice more. I really like this one for 9 of Wands somehow. Persistence and grit, perseverance in the face of adversity. And to me, grit is just a really lovely word for the 9 of Wands. And the 10, we have these 2 crossed keys with a figure right here. I guess the keys could be weighing down on the figure. And we have the candle reverse, which could be like burning at both ends, kind of, which I attribute to the Wands. And then here we have the court cards. So we have the 11 of Wands, which I like that one. I like them all. 12 of Wands. Again, we have here like a mer creature, which I don't know is associated with Wands, but I think you could. The 13 of Wands and the 14 of Wands, which I really like as the bee. So yeah, so that is the whole deck, all the glorious images. It did come with, it came packaged in this black like velvet bag, and it has a little stamp, it's hard to see on it, or image. It says Siren's Melody Tarot, and it just came with this around it, this little label, and it has which version marked on the back. These cards were printed in the USA, so that's interesting. I know a lot of decks are not, so it's kind of a unique feature. And then it came with this signature card, which is really cool. I didn't know it was going to come with this, and I saw it, and I was, It's just so nice. It's just such a nice touch. And it shipped so quickly. I was so amazed. It got here so fast. So I'm just going to do a little quick shuffle of the cards and pull one. So they do stick a little bit when I'm trying to like push them together like this, and that's, I think, from the Velvet Touch finish. But they are flexible enough. They're not too hard that I can't shuffle them very well. So I wouldn't say it's difficult to shuffle them. I wouldn't say it's incredibly easy, just because just trying to smush them back together. They don't slide against each other, is what I'm trying to say. They don't stick, but they don't slide. All right, so I think that's enough of that. So, yeah, let's pull a card. What do we need to know today? The Empress. The meanings she has listed on here are creativity, fertility, femininity, nurture, and abundance. And there are also reversed meanings. I don't always use those, but in case you're wondering, the reverse meanings for the Empress are listed as overbearing, disease, stagnation, and dependence. So hopefully we'll bring in a lot of that very positive Empress energy in this month. And I hope that you have enjoyed this walkthrough, and I hope you are having a good January, and I will talk to you later. Bye.